So my favorite fight scenes from all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, what are they and how do I rank them? Let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome to the Geek Talk. Today, let's discuss my favorite fight scenes from Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you haven't already watched, we've been going through a tier list of my favorite fight scenes over the past few weeks. You can see that playlist hovering around my head somewhere around here. Go ahead and click that and see how the progression of all this has been going out. I guess it would be minor spoilers because it will let you know which videos or which fight scenes are actually going to be candidates for this one, but it's still fun. Let's continue. Anyway, let's get into my favorite fight scenes. At number 10, I have Zuko versus Ozai. Short and sweet, but I really just liked it, mostly because Zuko was finally standing up to Ozai for the first time and also finding himself and finding his place as a Fire Nation prince, and also as his complete arc kind of happening in that moment, all the way from his travels with Iroh up to this point. Plus, it's really cool seeing the double forked lightning from Ozai, especially when there was only a sliver of the sun that he was using as his power, and then seeing Zuko able to redirect it and almost nearly killing Ozai. And the whole thing was very fantastic. The ambiance and the art style were really good. And again, I'm just a sucker for very short fights. At number 9, we have a Book 1 fight, Aang versus Zuko, during the episode Bato of the Water Tribe, in which they fight in that town. There's that big sequence in the well that was super awesome. They also fight on the rooftops, and all of the choreography of it is just so clean. Aang is evading things so effortlessly, and then we see Zuko just going nuts trying to land a hit on Aang. And then it all ends with a crescendo with Aang using the well as a big waterbending move to finally do away with Zuko. Definitely an awesome fight. Uses a lot of the environment, and though it is a longer fight, which usually isn't to my taste, I think everything that was there had to be there, and it progressed in a very interesting way. Number 8, we have Zuko versus Katara, their very first bout, or at least their very first proper bout at the Northern Water Tribe. This one is just a really good and solid fight, mostly because this is the first time we see Katara properly fight someone else outside of training. We also have the objective of trying to take Aang in the form of Zuko, and then trying to protect Aang in the form of Katara. We also see the advantages and disadvantages of fire and water, with water being empowered by the moon and fire being empowered by the sun. There's nothing majorly crazy about this fight scene, no, elaborate camera angles that I'm really into or choreography necessarily. There is that really cool shot of the close-up with Katara when she gets the one-up on Zuko, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot that I think about with this one in terms of like camera, but just in terms of the storyline and also the progression of the two characters and the elements themselves, it's definitely got to be number 8 for me. And at number 7, we have Zuko versus Zhao, another Book 1 fight, which is surprising for me because I thought most of my fights would come from Book 2 and 3. But this one's really great. Again, it's still at the early phase of Avatar. I do think it is a little rough on the edges with some of the animation, but it is just really well done, especially with the lesson of Zuko learning how to break the root of Zhao, really just breaking the root of anyone he's facing against with the advice of Iroh at his back. It's also our first Agni Kai, so there's the whole build-up behind that, and it's just really well done. Even with it being sort of an earlier fight, you can tell that some of the budget was really placed into this episode and into this fight in particular as a way to be like, hey, this is what Avatar can do one day. Keep watching, we'll keep doing amazing stuff like this. And I think the martial arts behind it, you can really see how the focus of martial arts is being channeled through fire in this particular fight, and I thought it was really well done. And then next up, we have Jet versus Aang, and this one gets the number 6 slot for me because of how beautiful it is. Fighting through the trees has a very serene nature to it, despite the fact that Jet is literally trying to kill Aang. It's also interesting watching a non-bender actually contend with another bender, even though Aang was holding back just a little bit because he obviously didn't want to kill Jet, though he was trying to keep the situation under control. It still was a very intense action scene, a very intense fight scene, which nearly ends with Aang being defeated. At number 5, we have one of the most chilling fights I have on this list, and it's Katara versus Hama. It's the introduction to bloodbending, and yes, while I have an issue with how fast Katara learned bloodbending in a single night, I still really love the atmosphere of this fight scene, and also just the animation and how creepy it is, and how much it actually aligns with the episode title being Puppet Master, because that's exactly what is going on in this. And it's just great because we haven't really seen, at least up until this point in the series, a waterbender who is kind of on the evil side, or really any mini benders who are evil besides the Fire Nation or any of the firebenders. Even the episode leading up to that fight was just interesting, what you can do with water and how powerful water can be when you think outside of the box. So all of that combined together with the creepy horror vibe that's going on in this whole fight scene, easy spot, number 5 for me. At number 4, we have Toph doing work on the Earth Rumble Arena wrestlers, fighters. What are their actual names? I actually don't know the names of these guys, but it's just a really awesome introduction into Toph. I mean, granted, we did see her in the actual Earth Rumble Arena, but seeing her here fighting against all of them at the same time, using the dust cloud so that she has the advantage as being the blind bandit because she can see through her seismic sense, was really cool to see. And I really enjoy fight scenes that are about nuance and small movements, and that's what Toph is all about, because she has to wait and listen, which is what Bumi was telling Aang to look into as a form of a mentor. And to see Toph go to work where she's just waiting for her opponents to make that first move, and then she dodges just in the nick of time to actually get them, I think is really nice. Plus, the animation in this particular fight scene was really clean, especially the last guy that Toph fought. Those last sequence of movements are so fluid, and it fills my joy of nerdiness so much. And up at number 3 is the Catacomb Fight at the end of Book 2. Of course, this is the big blowout where Zuko basically makes his decision to go with the Fire Nation and to go with Azula rather than going with Aang and Katara. And the fight scene, I think, is actually really good. There's a lot of small things that happen within it. I have a whole video where I talk about the idea of Azula being underrated. More on that on my video here. You can probably click on it somewhere. It's on screen probably at this point. But yes, we get to see this really cool dynamic between all these different types of fighters. When it's Zuko and Aang, it's kind of like the typical, you know, they're kind of head to head, but Aang has a slight advantage. And then you have Zuko and Katara, and they're pretty even because they're both kind of distressed, or at least Katara is distressed at that moment because she feels betrayed, and Zuko is just being fueled by this crazy pent-up anger he's had the entire book. And then you see Azula and Aang, in which I was saying before, Aang's not doing so well, and I think it's personally because Aang has some fear of Azula. And most of all, we see Azula and Katara, in which we see Katara legitimately putting the hurt on Azula, and Azula probably would have been beaten if it wasn't for Zuko coming in and saving her. So all of that together, I think there's so much little stuff that's happening. There's a lot of big story moments as a part of this, and of course the way this ends with Aang basically being killed by Azula. You don't get much more epic than this, except for number 2 and number 1 on this list. And at number 2, I have Aang versus Ozai. It is completely epic. It's a huge culmination of the entire series, and it's at this very epic location of like these mountain pillars where they're fighting against each other, where we have Ozai with his fire jets just zooming around, and then you have Aang pulling up, you know, huge rocks and throwing it at him, and then of course the Avatar state coming into play, and the taking of the bending. Like, all of that is so epic. But the most important thing about this fight, I think, at least for me, isn't so much the fight scene itself. Yes, the fight is great. I think it's actually very well choreographed. I think the shot selections are very nice. It feels very big. It feels very important. It feels like there is going to actually be death as a consequence. But the most important thing to me in this fight scene is the fact that Aang refuses to kill Ozai, despite what everyone else is telling him, his friends, his past lives, his mentors. All of them say, yo, you gotta kill Ozai. And he had the chance to do it. He had the redirected lightning. He had it pointed straight at Ozai's head, and he chooses not to do that because that is what a true hero does. Though I don't know if I exactly agree with him. I think Ozai needed to kind of eat it. He was pretty evil, but it's still a very good lesson to at least try your best to end a situation without someone else's death. And that's not something you often see, I think, in a lot of media, at least maybe in this more modern society where we kind of have this whole fascination with gray characters. I do like, you know, sometimes getting that black and white, or just more of a character who is solid and in place with their morality, and their very good morality, even if it might be a touch, maybe a little bit too much, maybe a little bit too much empathy. But still, I think it's a good lesson overall, and that's why I have this at my number 2. But at my number 1 is the most epic fight to me. It's the one I can rewatch whenever, anytime someone tells me, hey, you want to watch this fight real quick? I'm like, I am there. And that is the Agni Kai between Zuko versus Azula. Great stage to set this up. You knew that this fight was coming between these two characters. It's showing the complete arc of Zuko. We see the complete downward arc of Azula, who is completely losing her mind, and they're having this huge epic Agni Kai during Sozin's Comet, so it means their firebending is on a whole other level. You don't get more epic than this. The music, the sibling rivalry, the sacrifice that Zuko makes against Katara, the fight with her when she's able to trap Azula in the ice. It is fantastic. The choreography is beautiful. The animation, beautiful. The pacing, perfect. The shot selections, going wide so we can see how big the fire is, getting in close when we need to see the struggle between the two characters. It just doesn't get better than that. And that's it. Did you agree with my list, or did you think something was shafted that should have been on the list? Again, remember, this is my own subjective list. It's just the fight scenes that I enjoy. It's not an objective list at all. I'm not trying to assess what the fan base likes and putting in, placements of I have to have this one in because the fans love it. It's mostly just me personally, which ones I revisit the most, which ones I enjoy the most, that sort of a thing. But still, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the list, and I want to hear you guys' favorite fight scenes in the comments below, or you can watch more of my videos here at the side of my face. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.